Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I am here finally today. I had something I had to do today, which was a blessing. So thank you for joining me today as I'm Natasha Venter. I am a psychic medium who is one that loves to help being one. So I'm a life coach. I am a personal awareness life coach. So I call it personal awareness life coach because I bring awareness to your own life to help you move forward. So if you're having a hard time moving forward, if you're having a hard time with emotions, if you're having a hard time with grief or anything that's going on, that I love to support people. So please email me or go to my website, angelicclarifications.com, and I would be grateful to help you. Because right now bringing a lot of us are being triggered, and that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today. Is that we're not necessarily hitting yet Mercury in retrograde, but at the same time, Mercury is like knocking on the door. So, Mercury in retrograde is something that happens about 3 times a year. And it is something that really influences many of us. And it's actually a scapegoat for a lot of us. It's kind of funny how we use it as an scapegoat. Like if we say something wrong or there's miscommunication or there's something like that. Oh, Mercury's in retrograde. I don't have to take responsibility for it. But yes, we do, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I want to kind of give a little gray area here. So I appreciate you with showing up here, even though I'm about a half an hour late to my normal time, because of the fact that, like I said, life is something that we have to do sometimes, and there's other reasons why we need to do things. So don't be afraid to say, right now it's not a good time for me. I would like to do something different here at this time. So be aware that right now communication is big. And, Mercury going into retrograde, it's about communication. So Mercury is a communication planet. So like I already had a friend who, and Mercury actually deals with electronics. So that's our cars, because a lot of our cars now are all about computers, right? They're not the old Ford 68 Ford that I used to work on with my dad, right? Where everything was very logistic. You had, the key to put in, you had the steering wheel that you had to turn, all those things that, so it's one of those things that, now my dad had this 68 Ford truck until into the almost late 80s, early 90s. And so this truck was something that was around for a very long time for me. But I wanted to let you know, though, that with Mercury in retrograde, Mercury going into retrograde, that because what it does is like there's this shadow effect, right? There's the a couple of days, or there's about 3 weeks that it kind of nudged its way into being in retrograde. So um, it's kind of like a race car. I'm going to put it, starting out, that it starts out at zero and it builds up speed, right? And some of the race cars, the dragsters can do it quickly, but there's other cars that it takes a little while to get going, right? So it gets going. So there's about 3 weeks where it starts out at zero now, like a day ago or 2 days ago, that it starts out, and then it starts building up speed, right? And it gets speeder. And then when it goes into retrograde, so when a planet goes into retrograde, it's about the rethinking, redoing, reapplying, re-knowing, re-updating. A lot of those re's can help us negotiate some of those stories. So when we're rethinking something, when we're redoing something, when we're reapplying something. So the re's, for an example, when a Mercury is in retrograde, I would reread an email. I would reread a text. I would reread an information to make sure that we're doing it correctly, or we're rethinking it or re-saying it. So like for me, I was on a conversation today with someone, and I through that scenario, I kind of felt like I had to explain myself being the customer, right? But what I did was I slowed myself down And I reapplied where why I was calling, and I was thanking her. I actually said to her, "Hey, I have heard you say this a couple times, and I honor you for that. That but I just want to make sure it's clear that I'm not asking for a big change. I just want something to be tweaked just a little bit if it can." And with that reapplying what we're thinking about can really help in a lot of dancy conversations we're having, because a lot of us have conversations that it's a fine line how this information is going to come out, or how this application is going to come out. And so if we can really rethink things. So now, another thing that handles, like I was saying earlier, is that our cars, so our computer systems, our knowers. Like, yesterday, I was trying to do something on my computer, and it was so sluggish and didn't want to work. And I looked, and it didn't need to do an update, and so I turned it off, turned it back on. Come to find out, there was an update that needed to be done, and it wasn't even on there. So miscommunication is going to be happening through our system. But I let the process go, and I ended up using my phone instead, and it was fine. It all worked out for the better. I was grateful for the phone in a way, because it kind of helped me move around a little differently, right? So follow the guidance of what we're doing, but I would say really be careful, because the fact that others may not know about all this dance of Mercury in retrograde, and other people driving. So I had someone who I love dearly, ended up getting in a car accident, not her fault. But I sent her love and healing. So with that, there's these dances that we're going through that affect us, and how can we do that? So the one thing though that my girlfriend, that in honesty, it's kind of making sure she wants to be here on this planet. So there's a reason why we go through something. Now, not every part of it's going to be a good reason by any means, right? But at the same time, if we can kind of slow down and look, why are we struggling with something? Why are we struggling with this personality? And I can understand that, right now we're going to be coming into, and we have been for the last, I think since fall, a lot of us are struggling with anger scenarios, and reactionary. Like, I've been amazed at how, it's like I've kind of been looking at people and situations, and not with judgment, but in awe almost, of like, how did they react to that, and then get the answer to come back to me in that way, when all I said was hi. Because somebody reacted to it and built on it. And then there was this tit and tat and poke and bat and boot and back and forth, that ended up struggling with. And then it's like, I don't get, but yet at the same time, I do get. Right. So going into that, okay. So now I talked about that. I was going to talk about how we get a theme out of Mercury's in retrograde, right? Because every Mercury in retrograde, every planet in retrograde, Pluto in retrograde, Mars in retrograde, Neptune in retrograde. I forget exactly what planets are in retrograde right now, besides just Mercury going into it, just because that was the focus right now. And I've been other things that have been going on that I've been negotiating with, right? So with that, how can we negotiate this? Well, I know for me that some of this, that from the theme, and I'm going to speak of my theme here, because I feel like that there's this dance, and this Mercury in retrograde is going to be pretty um, eye-opening, if you allow it to be, because it's going to be coming through the holidays here, through and into the new year, right? So it's not going to go direct, because it's 3 weeks of picking up speed, like I was saying about the car, right? And then there's 3 weeks of it kind of sitting in retrograde. And then there's the 3 weeks of it coming out. So, in other words, if it's going at 60 miles an hour as a car, then it's going to slow down to go to zero, on the other side, right? So it's speeding up, going into retrograde, the really hard things, the thinks, right? And then it goes in sliding down. But what I can say though is that as you're going through the stories of who we are, I can tell you that for me, a lot of what I am working on, and will be Mercury in retrograde working on is I back in when there was the full moon and eclipse, I had the mantra because I'm doing a mantra a week that it was about valuing myself. Well, that really, when you talk about yourself, you're talking about the outer world. So it's about how am I valuing myself and how am I valuing others? How are they valuing me? How am I valuing my computers, my things around me, and how much are they valuing me? And so looking at that, and I'm really looking at how somebody, things that I'm having, a thing I have, why am I keep putting the pen that doesn't write back in the ink back in the pen holder, right? Throw it away. Revaluing where I'm at. Well, I can tell you that this theme in between the full moon and eclipse in November to the full moon that we just had in December last week, this last week, that it really was cementing in what am I valuing? Who am I valuing? What is going on here? Right. And then now I can see that this Mercury retrograde is really asking me to look at that really thickly because it's really my inner child was triggered, right? My inner knowing was triggered. Um, my inner being was really triggered with a lot of things, and it was dealing with my health. It was dealing with a lot of things. Now, I'm healthy by all means, but like my inner child was triggered because my local store that I go and get chicken noodle soup from, they get it, they have like lunch things that they can do, and I go and pick one up after work, and I love their chicken noodle soup, right? And I've gone 3 weeks without having it. For some reason, they decided not to put it out there, even though they put out 3 other soups a day, right? My inner child was throwing a fit. Why am I not getting my soup? I want to get my soup. I was feeling, and then there was other things that were going on, like we have snacks at school all the time at my day job. And, like they had a breakfast this morning. Did I eat anything? No, because there was eggs, potatoes, and things with nuts with them. Those 3 things I don't eat, or I balance how I eat them. And so with that I didn't eat this morning. Well, that's been the theme that we've had snacks and everything going around. And there's been the story. Yes, it's a story that I'm not going to eat those things, right? Well, what's happened in that story is that my little girl in me, that inner child in me was saying, "What about me? What about me?" And I can tell you that "What about me" story really made me look at why. And like my husband said to me, he goes, "Why don't you make your own snacks?" Well, there's a part of me that was kind of saying, "Hi, Ken." There was a part of me that was saying, when I was going through this inner child work, and retrograde is going to be about that, you know, it really triggered in me that, when he said, "Why don't you make some yourself?" And I'm like going, "But I do all the other things myself. I would like somebody to give me something." And that's that story of how I value myself. Hi, Ken. I'm feeling blessed with having you here. That it's that story. So this Mercury in retrograde for me is going to have the uh, the theme of how do I value those parts of me, those shadow parts of me? Because I can tell you, my inner child crying and whining was a big part of this the full moons and being valued. And so how am I going to value myself through communication? How am I going to value myself through my relationship with my friends and family? How am I going to value myself through a lot of these stories? And how am I going to do this through communication? Like today when I was pulled in to talk to my supervisor, getting to talk about my supervisor, I wanted to go into reaction. I really did. Even me who does all the work. Mercury in retrograde. So check in with your reactions, right? I remind myself, breathe. And I walked a very fine line because he caught me off guard. Walked a very fine line with what to say, right? What to say. And that's the thing is that when we're getting into these stories, we're going to get pulled in and almost undermined. And we have to look at, like for me, there's one thing that was said, and the old me wants to focus on that part of my brain that says, well, why did he ask me that question? I mean, why did he point that one thing out of all the days that I've done right? Why was it the one time? Well, I have to go into my own story. Well, you know, I've done 99% right. And that one time that he saw me was the time that there was a good reason. He didn't know it. He asked me about it. I know differently, right? So really work on your own self stories when you're navigating through this Mercury in retrograde, because the fact that a lot of us are going to have interactions and stories that are not going to necessarily be true to us. And walking into this 2023 year, we're going to want to really keep our feet underneath us, be grounded, to know that it is time for us to really look at what is our truth. What is the truth, or are we having other people sabotage our truth? Because there's going to be that opportunity, because communication might not be as easy. And I can tell you that this Mercury retrograde is not starting out necessarily at zero. It's starting out probably at 60 and building up. So that's the thing is that when we're together with our families at holiday, if we are going to do that, or we're going to be, remember that we're going to get triggered, and the story is not necessarily really what might be happening. And doing the work that we've done, and that's the thing is that I want to give credit to those that are doing the work, because us that are doing the work can really see these stories. So when you're looking at what is the personal theme for you for a retrograde, a planet in retrograde, look at what is repeating itself. Look at what is going around and keeps coming around. So like for me, I'm noticing that it's kind of about communication with myself and others, right? And I'm going to tag on the word value. Tag on to the word value. And so for me, that's where I'm noticing this theme that's been repeating and keeps coming back around. So what I'm going to invite to you, and if you want to put in comments what your story has been that you're dealing with, and see how that these communications, these stories, that this might be a trigger for what the theme of your life is through this next couple weeks, because it's going to be 9 weeks of this focus. I'm going to tell you, because remember, when a planet goes into retrogrades, it's about the rethink, reread, renew, re-idea, re. And I know for me that I was born with a bunch of planets in retrograde. So for me, planets in retrograde don't necessarily flip me around like a lot of people do. But I have to respect the point that others aren't necessarily in that moment. And so for me, even though I might be thinking that I'm speaking clearly, they might be hearing because where their brain is, right? So really, check in. So just checking in. What did you hear? You know, because I want to make sure our communication is clear. So think about that. What can you do to slow down and think? And when we're looking at themes, think about what is happening in your life. Think about what is repeating in your life. What is the thing that's driving you crazy right now that keeps happening, right? And see how that is stirring the pot to help you do better. And there's these moments of life that keeps hitting us and triggering us, And I can tell you that mine, and I was talking to somebody else who does a lot of spiritual work, and she was saying, yeah, I can see that theme going through for me too, about the self-value, about the self-wisdom, about the standing in my own power, standing in the empowerment that I know, trusting that inner part of me that knows what to do, even though I'm not sure if I know what to do. So there's that part of us. So how can you, in your way, negotiate some of these stories that are happening for you? That is about standing in your own knowing. We've had a life. I can tell you that 99% of us have had some years on this planet, right? And and what we've been working on is gaining knowledge. So trust that part of us that knows what to do. Like me having this conversation with somebody today, that even though they kind of surprised me with this conversation, and there was a part of me that went, oh, the last 3 times that I talked to this person, and I really got thrown under the bus. That, that going forward and doing that I had really had to talk with myself and say, this is new. This is new. I'm empowered. I'm trusting a part of me that knows what to do. I'm going in this with love and kindness. I'm going in this with balance. I'm going in with this, trust that word that comes out of my mouth when I know that it should come out of my mouth, because that part of me knows what to do and I'm going to get out of the way. And so think about these things if you can, because the fact that a lot of us go into struggle first. We go into struggle first instead of thinking about things first. So go, try to be, if you can, out of struggle. And I know that a lot of our things are happening right now, like when a planet goes into retrograde, a lot of us feel that. Like for me, I haven't slept good for the last couple of days. And my energy is like on and off, on and off, on and off, because of the effects of going on. And our planet is doing a lot of changing. And I was just on with someone else that, we were talking about that, and it was coming forward that our planet is going to go through a lot of changes this next year. And how can we attune to those? We can be um, in that moment. So what I'm asking you to do, so if you're on Twitter, I don't necessarily get your questions or your answers. That if you can go to my YouTube channel, Natasha Venter Angelic Clarifications, then if you make a comment, I can see them. I would appreciate that. So it's amazing how we're doing. I just thought I had a comment that come up for Twitter, so I appreciate that. So go to Natasha Venter Angelic Clarifications on Twitter, or I mean on YouTube, or you can go to Facebook, Natasha Venter Angelic Clarifications, and I'll see your posts come up. I apologize if you were there watching me on Twitter and I did not say that I don't really get comments there. So with that, being prepared and being a witness of ourselves is a gift. And I would look up on to see what other planets are in retrograde right now, but I'm using my phone on Instagram, because I'm live on Instagram, on YouTube, Natasha Venter Angelic Clarifications, on Facebook, Natasha Venter Angelic Clarifications. So if you have any comments that are a blessing, I would love to hear from them, because I know that many of us are struggling with something. And miscommunication is probably part of it. Miscommunication with ourselves, because if we're doing it outside, we're doing it inside. So when I'm talking about outside, it's our friends, our family, it's coworkers, there's miscommunication there. But we have that miscommunication that happens inside too. It's that miscommunication of, like, for me, having a conversation with somebody about, well, last time there was already, the last 3 times we talked, it didn't go very well, and I was blamed for something that I felt like I didn't do wrong. And so with that I had to quit that miscommunication with myself and shift it around to, I'm empowered. I know what to do. I'm trusting the conversation. I'm trusting because I don't know what he has to say. I'm trusting what he has to say. So there is that balance. And you know we have to give things a chance. We have to give things a chance, to be where we're at. So if you're having problems with not sleeping, your body, headaches, if you're having problems with ringing in the ear, if you're having problems with things not fitting right with you, mentally, physically, or spiritually, remember this is a process that we're going through of upgrading. And there's a big shift that's going to be happening in 2023, and we really start feeling it starting September, and we really start feeling it the closer we get to 2022, or the next year, 2023. So as we're getting pulled into 2023, um, and the energy that's going on, trust the process that's going to happen, and breathe deeper when you get a chance. Check in with nature when you get a chance. Hold a rock when you get a chance. Um, Light a candle when you get a chance. Do these things that give you an idea to negotiate what's going on around us, because you know there's not necessarily going to be ease and grace unless we make it ourselves. And I can tell you, the more that my body is attuned to the energies and attuned to the knowings, that it's easier for me to negotiate. So like the other night when I couldn't sleep, what I tried to do was be in a meditative state. Um, and that gave me a chance to deep breathe and to process what was happening. And then in the morning when I was negotiating something, I sent a quick text to someone saying that this is who I was thinking of, right? Because when I get a hit intuitively about somebody, I try to check in with them. And sometimes my life is busy, and I don't mean to not check in with people, but I try to reach out when I can. So with that know that there's no reason why that there okay, let me start that sentence over. The reason why that we're having these situations and these struggles is because we're going into this retrograde to really rethink our truth. What is our truer truth? What can we believe in ourselves? Are we believing into others? And so, like, if you're going back into and having a holiday with family and they remember you as XYZ, but you've turned into ABCD, remind them, I love you so much. I try to think of you as you are now. I'm not trying to remind myself of who you were because I know we didn't get along. Can we do that, please? Be kind about what we're going through, because we could really restate that. We can say the same things, but it can sure be a whole lot angrier, right? And as the stories come up, it is trusting the process and trusting who we are and trusting the knowing of what we're going through. So believe in who you are, believe in what we're doing, believing in that we have a part of us that knows what to do. There isn't going to be a time where change isn't happening, right? And that's one thing that Mercury coming in every three times a year, and it comes in different times. So it's actually coming in through the time of Capricorn. And if you look at the sign of Capricorn, what is Capricorn? It's about getting down and getting business. I know that a lot of Capricorns are really good business people, right? And is it an earth sign? I think it's an earth sign. And getting into that nitty gritty and getting down deep. Now, I know for me that through this retrograde, I'm looking around my house and thinking, there's little things here that want to leave so that I can be my better self. Because I can tell you through this integration that I'm going to be going through, because in the northern hemisphere, we're in the wintertime. So it's about kind of going inward, thinking inward, being inward. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're going into summer, so you're expanding, you're coming out, but there's still that breath in, breath out, right? So if you're getting that feeling that you need to, like, I just had a friend who moved into a new flat, right? And he's in the southern hemisphere. So what does he need to do? He needs to kind of rethink, what is it that I want to bring into my life? You know, he just moved in, so he needs the basics, right? But does that mean that comes in with gluttony? No, he comes in with choices. He comes in with needs. He comes in with the ability of what does he really want in his life. And if we can do that, well, I know for me in the wintertime here that even though my child is going to be here from New Mexico and we're going to be preoccupied a little bit, but I can tell you that I'm going to kind of want to go through and like I've rearranged my helpful people corner here, right? I've rearranged my helpful people corner to make it more simpler. I actually just rearranged this shelf right here, and I had an altar in my helpful people corner. Now I moved it to my relationship corner so that it's not necessarily and it's in that middle shelf right there, that it's not necessarily I got rid of some books, and that corner's already feeling lighter, right? Well, it's time to move things and dust things off and do things. So now I'm going to kind of actually it's kind of funny because I started here, and usually you go clockwise to build something, right? In a place. It's about building. Actually, I'm going counterclockwise. So I'm undoing certain things, and I'll have to remember in my because I have a medicine wheel here in my spiritual room. So I'm gonna have to remember to go clockwise to rebuild my intentions, right? To rethink about what my intentions are so that I can build into what I want to be. So my next will be kind of doing this area right in, I can move my phone here. So this area here is another kind of altar for me. And so I'm going to be looking at what can I do differently? What can I do? And so many of these things are important to me. But I can also tell you the things that are in this cabinet here that I can really look at and go deeper into. Do I really need that? And I know for this next year, I'm really feeling, and I was told today as a confirmation that this is the time to read. I've been really, I have some magic books down here, just simple magic books about doing spells and stuff like that. And I used to be a witch or what people would call a witch. Some of them were called different things at different times, right? That it's time for me to pull those books out and scan through them, wake them up so I can be awakened. Because even if I don't read them, me holding them, I can absorb their knowledge because I have that knowledge in me. So rethink about how you're going to apply some of these things that's still called to have. We don't necessarily have to look at them in the same way, right? So maybe I need to pull some of those books out, have them out, and put some of the things that I know are supposed to stay, but they need to go away for a few minutes. Put them down or reorganize. I'm a feng shui consultant. I love to feng shui. I love to do house blessings. And when I go in and do a house blessing, my natural feng shui comes out in me and it gets spoken of, right? Because a lot of sometimes our scenarios when we're having problems with our house is because maybe things aren't working as well, right? So as I'm going forward and managing things that I need to put things together, right? Well, me being able to do that, then I can negotiate some of this new story that's creating for myself, because I can tell you that what we think and is what we have. Now next Wednesday is the winter solstice for us, or the summer solstice if you're in southern hemisphere. So that's what my show is going to be about, is how to bring this solstice energy, because it's huge. What do we want to contemplate? What do we want to bring into our life? What do we want to do with our life? And I'm doing a book study with a book with some people. And if you're interested in doing this book study, I'm going to tell you it's life altering. And it's going to help bring in this new energy of the 2023 year, is about that. How do I think about myself? How am I about myself? And that's one thing. So when you're going through this Mercury in retrograde, think about the themes, think about what we're doing, because I can tell you that anger is not what we're going to want to manifest in the 2023, right? We're going to want to understand anger. We're going to want to empathize with anger. We're going to communicate with anger, but we don't want to be angry all the time. And these emotions that are being triggered right now, we can really carry those emotions forward. And that's what we manifest. And then this solstice time, and we're coming into this. It's almost like I always picture coming in through these equinoxes and solstices. It's kind of like you have the funnel, and it's out far, and then it skinnies down in, and it skinnies down further in as I'm bringing my hands closer for those on the podcast. And that's when the date of the equinox or the solstice, right? And then we get pushed back out. So are my hands widen again? That it is about coming down and cleaning in and finish flowing into what we're doing. So be ready to keep your feet on the ground a little bit more. Be ready to stand tall in your own knowing, because you have to be. You know what I'm noticing? That my posture. I'm noticing my posture because I'm wearing heavier gear, excuse me, because I'm outside. So with winter, we have coats on, so we're hunched over. And I'm noticing, no, open and expand my rib cage. Open and expand my rib cage, because that process of what my rib cage is asking me to do is to breathe in, stand in my empowerment, stand in my knowing, because there's enough darkness in the world. It's time for us to be light, right? So as our bodies are shifting and changing, being uncomfortable, being in a place where things aren't as negotiable in our life, right? That that we gotta work with our bodies. So that I use the mantra here. Let me attune to the energies of the now. Let me attune to the energies of the now. Father Sky, Mother Earth, let me balance with you. Let whatever upgrade you are going through, let me go through it with grace and ease and love and light, because I want to be a light. So going forward in our knowings, being who we are, I attune to the energies of the now, which means that if the Mother Earth is going through an upgrade, I'm tuning into that with grace and ease, because I want Father Sky, Mother Earth, because I use Father Sky because of the balance of the male to female, right? Because there's masculine parts, there's feminine parts, there's feminine angels, there's masculine angels, there's feminine star beings, there's masculine star beings. So whatever is balance for Mother Earth, I would be grateful, because I know Mother Earth is in the solar system too, but we are on their Mother Earth. So how can we deal with the retrogrades on the outside of us, affecting the inner side of us, the shadows, the wisdom, the communication with self, the communication with others? How can Mercury in retrograde help balance us so that we can be a better self? And that's how negotiating our story through this Mercury retrograde. So, with that, thinking about what is been the pattern for the last couple weeks here, going to help you create the rhythm of what is going to be in this Mercury retrograde, the theme for you. And if we know the theme, we can negotiate it better. For me, being that it's about value, because that's been a theme that's been really going through, and making sure I'm really walking my talk, right? And how, sometimes things can't show themselves just in a week. It's 6 weeks, it's 8 weeks, it's 12 weeks, it's 30, it's 24 weeks. It's whatever weeks to get us into this new pattern. So this is huge for me, to look at my self-value and how people are valuing me, and I'm valuing others. Because I can tell you that part of me being loving and kind, that in some ways it's been perceived as a weakness for some. And it takes a while for people to be knowing of me being a strength. I'm still kind. I'm still love. Don't look for me for kindness. I have a backbone, right? So giving that an opportunity to build itself, it's going to take a couple weeks, and this rethinking, reapplying, re-knowing of my communication. How can I shift my communication so I'm empowered, not powerful, empowered when negotiating with other people? How can I rethink how I'm negotiating with myself? How can I rethink when I'm negotiating with my own car, right? Or my computer? Like yesterday, I could have gotten into the politics and really start fighting it because it wasn't working yesterday, right? But no, I kind of said, okay, you need time. I can tell you're working slow. Let me turn you off. Let me restart you. Let me do these things. And actually me stepping back gave my phone a chance to work instead of me blowing out my phone, right? Because I shift electronics when I get upset. I really understand that when I tried to get my cable in at my house to get new internet in my house, and it took 5 hours and 3 or 4 phone calls to the cable company. And then I got so mad that every time I got mad, I had to re put in the numbers because that page would go down, right? So I'd have to reapply it. I noticed that I actually got so mad that I blew the aura of my house open. Did you know your house has an aura? It does. And actually, what was coming through was not necessarily good. Um, but I did end up later with better wisdom, help my aura of the house re-upgrade to its greater good. So it wasn't necessarily a negative thing that happened, but it wasn't necessarily a good thing that I got that angry. And then, but me learning about that I understood that I can, and I say this word with kindness, manipulate. I say this word with kindness. I can manipulate the energy around me, which I've always known. But now I can do it with empowerment differently. So it's about standing in my empowerment, right? Standing in my knowing. And as we go forward and doing our work, that's about how to negotiate a lot of those things, right? So with this, I'm Natasha Venter, psychic medium, intuitive personal awareness coach, and you can reach me at angeliclarifications.com if you're looking for a session to help yourself go through things. If you want to find something out, if you want to work on something, I would be grateful to do that. If you want to be a part of this book study, it's about under earning. Please email me at natasha at angeliclarifications.com. I am going to pull some oracle cards. I'm down to the last 15 minutes, and I want to get some oracle cards in. So if you would like an oracle card, remember when an oracle card is pulled that it's almost like calling out somebody on the phone. All you have to put out is your intention, and the cards will pick up. My energy will pick up what it is, and the energy around the cards will pick up, and and then the cards will be pulled for you. So with that, who wants to come out? Dragons want to come out. So the dragons would like to come out. So if you would like a card, I'm looking for something. Who else wants to come out? I'm going to say the Path of the Soul. So these are really cool cards. These are very cool cards. So if you would like a card pulled, please just say which one you like, which deck you'd like, the Path of the Soul or Dragons, and I will pull a card for you. I'm going to pull a card for everyone. Remember that if I do pull a card for somebody, sometimes you can say, hey, that was a card for me, because everybody is going through something that somebody else is going through. And cards are usually meant for more than one person. Oh, so Veronica, you want the Path of the Soul, please. Okay, I will do that. Okay, I actually thought you'd want these, Veronica. So, okay, so start putting out there what you're wanting. And I know you've been dealing with some stuff that you texted me about, and I'm sending healing on that. And I really feel like it's about your it's if I can give you this real quick, Veronica, that what you texted me about earlier, wanting your confidentiality here, that it's time for you to connect with Mother Earth a little differently, and she's asking you to sit a little differently in your knowing. Sit a little bit more with her so she can help you tune into the energies, because there's a vibrational challenge that we're going through right now, and I feel like you that's part of it. And Ken on Instagram, thank you for reaching out. Yes, dragons, please. Yes, I will do that after Veronica. So Veronica, please put out your intentions as I yes, she says I'll do that. Okay, so she says I will do that now. Yes, breathe. Just breathe, and breathe in your core. Breathe into your core. Fill in the bottom of your lungs, fill in your belly button with breath, and that will help you, because I feel like that there's been some light breathing. And remember, where you work, breathing is essential to not breathe in. And so with that it is about cleaning that breath again after you're out of that workplace place. Okay. There we go. Connecting. Had to get that out. Sorry, Veronica. Woo! Okay, so this card here was a jumper. Ooh, I don't think we've had this card. This one is beautiful. Beautiful card. So this one is 33. Is that 33? My room is darker here. The lights went down. So 33, yes, 33. So look up what 33 means also, Veronica, and that will help you. So 33. Kuan Yin, Mother Mary. It's another form of Mother Mary, Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin, the Buddha of compassion. So I would appreciate if people understand when I read these things, it's a dyslexic reading, so I'm doing my better. Buddha of compassion. In this card, she represents compassion and kindness towards self. Stop being so hard on yourself. Watch your mind and the words and judgments that you have about yourself. You are much kinder and more forgiving of others than you are on yourself. It can take many lifetimes to fully embody this lesson of compassion, but you are almost there. This is one of the biggest openings of the heart center that one can experience. Wow. And I can tell you, witnessing your path that you've gone on, Veronica, the things that you've gone through and the wisdom that you've gone through, it has been a big eye opener to, what did she say? That this card is about compassion and kindness towards self. Stop being hard on yourself. Watch your mind and your words and judgment that you have about yourself. You are much kinder and more forgiving to others than you are yourself. It takes many lifetimes to fully embody this lesson of compassion, but you're almost there. And I can tell you that you are very much there. You're on that edge to finding compassion for yourself because of what you went through early in life and a lot of those stories, that it's time to do that and be that. Okay, so Ken, now it's your turn. Are you ready? So put out intention, Ken. You're very welcome, Veronica. So the dragons, whew, They work well with you, my dear. Yes, Ken, they work really well with you. I hope you're tapping into their energy because they're coming in strong. I just did a house blessing where I called in the dragons to help with the ley lines, and they're coming in very strong, waking up our planet. I can feel them breathing with you. So remember, oh, Veronica, help have the dragons, your dragon, you know your dragon. Have your dragons breathe with you. And there's a rumble. There's a rumble that dragons have when they breathe. It's that it's like almost like a lion purring. It has that, but it's deeper than even that. It's almost like the deepness of an elephant when you hear an elephant rumble or purr. It's that it's core. It's a core because elephants is actually of that energy. They're of that ancient energy, and so that's why they rumble when they rumble. They rumble. They vibrate the earth. They're actually healers for our earth. Okay, so Ken, start doing this. There you go. Yeah, dragons. Dragons. Okay, show the card that's meant to come out because I know that one almost did. But I didn't catch it in time when I lost it. It's reshuffling for you, Ken. Okay, here's one that's coming out. I'm seeing it, and it's actually this one right here. Ooh, magic and manifestation. Magic and manifestation. There was another card here. Soul Guardian. Soul Guardian. So I'm going to do magic and manifestation for you. And then I feel like this Soul Guardian is for others. Okay. So we're going to do that. So 7. It's Roman numeral, magic and manifestation. Oh, no, it's 12. V is 10. No, V is, yep, there we go. I was right the first time. Then I questioned myself. Okay, here we go. So, magic and manifestation. Do you see the card, Ken? Working together. We've had this card before. So, these two dragons are only pair on one card in this deck. Originally, they were separate, but as I begin to connect with them more deeply, I realized that they were a beautiful pair of two equally parts, magic and manifestation. These unusual dragons are powerful allies to have and are among the most influential magical of all dragons yet to come to earth. If they have shown themselves to you in a message, this is it. We have danced into your consciousness to reassure you that the worst is now behind you. Your journey has been a long and arduous one at times. Now look to the future and embrace what is to come. They carry the lifetimes of energy of magic and manifestation and warn. Be sure and clear in your intentions when invoking our presence, for we are the alchemists. Is what you are asking for what you truly desire? Will it serve and benefits your higher purpose. Call upon us when you want things to swoop into your life. We are here to help to turn your dreams into reality. Change your world and support you as you are undertaking your journey. Look deep inside and ask, what do you really want? Once you are clear about your choices, we will assist you in achieving them. These dragons to your will dive to your aid when you need any kind of particular support. If you need help on specific aspects of your physical existence have on earth, you can call upon their their dynamism to help you manifest it. These dual dragons are known as the miracle makers. Wow, miracle workers. So, with that, remember that. Oops, sorry. There was something about that though that we needed to see because dragons are really out there in space too. They're not necessarily just here on Earth. They are space beings, so they travel. So, if you would like, Ken, to really go deep, and I know that this, like I was talking about this book study that I had about the under earning. It's really making sure that my dreams are something that I'm really wanting. Okay, so now I'm going to do for all of us here, unless somebody else would like a card, please speak up now because I'm going to be having to get off air here soon. So this one is Soul Guardian. Soul Guardian. Isn't that pretty? Soul Guardian. Soul Guardian. Yeah. Okay. Soul Guardian. So Soul Guardian is 29. Looking through here. Sorry about the dead. Soul Guardian. Okay, here we go. Soul Guardian. I am the expression of the whole complete you. Wow. I am the expression of the whole complete you. If we are like this, oh my, we do not stand in our empowerment as much as we should. Okay. This beautiful dragon is your soul guardian and your very own dragon counterpart. The majestic being carries all of you, all your past, all your experiences. You are he is you. He shows all there is to know about you and your lives. He knows that which you need to do, that which you avoid, and that which you celebrate. He is the guardian of every incarnation you have experienced as a soul throughout the ages. The good, the bad, of course, and the ugly. He says, as well as you are, let me restart, sorry. Okay, so I will read this really quickly here for you, Ken. As you are positive side, I also hold your shadow, the part of you that would rather not acknowledge exists. I am the keeper of old memories. As you pass through each lifetime, your human body mind have a need to protect themselves when you experience pain and trauma, whether from birth, life, or death. A small piece of your soul then also resonates with to protect itself. I am the guardian of the soul, the experience of the whole and the complete you. If your soul guardian dragon has arrived in your cards today, he is telling you that it is time, that the time has come to begin to place your soul back together, to recall all the missing parts so that you can complete the amazing picture and reveal yourself in all your magnificence as a living being. He tells us all you need to do is ask, and I will guide you that way. You are a spiritual warrior that you must not learn to listen to your inner guidance. I will always be beside you as you follow your path. So, blessings to all, and know that this next year is going to be a year that it's time for us to collect ourselves. Not those parts that are all negative, but it's time to collect ourselves so that we can trust the love that we feel. It's time to trust the awareness that we feel. It's time to, as I look into this next year, it's going to be time to be aware that all the changes and all the things that are going on around us are here to say, do you matter enough to love yourself? When we're having an argument with somebody, remember to ask the question, what are they here to teach me? And I want to love myself as well as I want to love them. And as this helicopter is going overhead, and I know it's one of the search and rescue. So how can we rescue ourselves in our life? See, metaphors of life all around us. How can we rescue ourselves? By asking and receiving, remembering that magic is around us. Believe in it. I want you to know that you are loved. And if you want any help in this time, I'm open for private sessions. All you have to do is go to my website, Natasha Venter, angelicclarifications.com, angelicclarifications.com, or you can email me at natasha@angelicclarifications.com. So I am going to be live next Wednesday. It will be the winter solstice. I will be talking about that doorway, which will come into what we can do with the new year. And you can catch me here at 4 o'clock Pacific time on Instagram and on Twitter and my YouTube channel and Facebook. Please subscribe and like or whatever you want to do there, because I do inspirational quotes and blessings through the week on all platforms. I also want you to know that this show and other shows are on podcasts. So you can go to where you can find any podcast and you can look for me at Life Clarifications with Natasha. Blessings to all, and know that you are a blessing. And Monday, I will be here with Regan Forston on the Dance of the Soul, and we will be talking about forgiveness. That's 4 o'clock Pacific time on the same channels, except for Instagram. I won't be there. Blessings to you. Have a good one. And know that you are perfectly good. Remember to have Mother Earth come up and hug you. She reminded me to tell you. Blessings. Bye now.